The defense of justice. Geronda, one of the hymns says, arousing a most righteous anger. What anger is most righteous? When others are being wronged and someone shouts in anger out of a real sense of pain and suffering, then that is a most righteous anger. And he is angry because he is wronged, then that is not pure anger. When you see someone suffering for the sake of sacred things, he has divine zeal. This is how you can understand one who has become a fool for Christ. For example, if you take an icon and place it upside down before him, the fool for Christ will react with great agitation. That's how you can put him to the test. In other words, there is a righteous divine indignation, and only this indignation is justifiable in man. When Moses saw the people sacrificing to the golden calf, he got very angry and threw down the tablets of stone with the commandments given to him by God, and they broke. Phinehas, the grandson of the high priest Aaron, had committed 2 murders, and yet God established a covenant whereby the perpetual priesthood of Israel would derive from him and his descendants. When he saw the Israelite man Zimri sinning with the Midianite woman Cosbi before Moses and all the Israelites, Phinehas could not control himself. He rose and slew both of them, putting an end to God's anger. Had he not slain both of them, the wrath of God would have befallen all of the people of Israel. What a fearful thing! When I read in the Psalter the verse, then Phinehas stood up and interposed, and the plague was stayed. I kissed his name many times. Even Christ himself, when he saw in the temple courtyard merchants selling calves, sheep, doves, and the money changers, took a whip and drove everybody out. When a spiritual person tries to defend himself indignantly in a personal matter, this is clearly selfish, an act of temptation. Such a person is subject to external demonic influences. If someone is being wronged or ridiculed, others should defend him, for the sake of justice, not for their own self-interest. It is not right for you to quarrel on your own behalf. It is, of course, another matter if you react to defend serious spiritual matters, matters that relate to our faith, to orthodoxy. You have a responsibility to do this. When you are thinking of others and you react in order to help them, then this is a pure activity because it is prompted by love. When I was at Mount Sinai, I would go down to the monastery each week or every 15 days to receive Holy Communion. One time a very simple dikaios who was there told me, not every week monks should receive Holy Communion only 4 times a year. At that time they had a rule not to receive Holy Communion frequently. I used to wear the monastic hood, and he said, no monastic hood either, they only wore it during the feasts. I said, may it be so with your blessing, so I put it over my shoulder like a scarf and gave it no further thought. Was I to quarrel over this? In the meantime, I would prepare myself for Holy Communion and attend the Divine Liturgy. When the priest said, with fear of God, faith and love, draw near, I would bend my head and say, you know, my Jesus Christ, how much need I have for Holy Communion, and I would feel such a transformation which I do not know that I would have felt had I received Holy Communion. After a number of months passed, several young men came to the monastery, urged by me to come to Mount Sinai. They too were told not to receive Holy Communion frequently. Well, then I spoke up and the matter was properly settled.